Hello everyone and welcome to today's video. Now today I'm going to be talking about the Formula 1 Grand Prix at the Japanese Grand Prix. But before we get into that, let's talk about next week's race, which is at COTA for the United States Grand Prix. Yes, this is the second US Grand Prix. And obviously this is at COTA at the Circuit of the Americas. So track time. I think we are going to have a week off, I'm pretty sure. So next week will be no F1, so don't expect any F1 videos coming out on that week. So on October 21st, FP1 and FP2, FP1 will start at 2 o'clock to 3 o'clock, FP2 that'll start at 5 o'clock to 6:30. FP3 and qualifying on October 22nd. FP3 that'll start at 2 o'clock to 3 o'clock, qualifying will start at 5 o'clock to 6 o'clock. And finally for the race on October 23rd, that will be on 2 o'clock and it will go over to 4 o'clock. So hopefully it's not as messy as the Japanese Grand Prix, because it was a heap of mess. Because the Japanese Grand Prix was I did say it was an absolute heap of a mess. But obviously before I get into that, let's talk about first the results of the Japanese Grand Prix. And it was won by Max Verstappen. Obviously, so obviously that means Verstappen's champion. Pretty cool, you know, Verstappen's champion. But at the same time, there was a bit of an issue, I will say, after the race, because he didn't know how to do the points and everything. So it was a bit of a kerfuffle. So obviously the results. We have Max Verstappen and Sergio Perez, Charles Leclerc, Esteban Ocon, Lewis Hamilton, Sebastian Vettel, Fernando Alonso, George Russell, Nicholas Latifi. Yes, Nicholas Latifi, who legit got lost in qualifying somehow. I don't know how the hell he got lost at Suzuka. But I mean, to be fair, it is his first time at Suzuka, so I can kind of understand that. And Lando Norris ran out to top 10. Then for the rest of the drivers, we have Daniel Ricciardo, Lance Stroll, Yuki Tsunoda, Kevin Magnussen, Valtteri Bottas, Zhou Guanyu, Pierre Gasly, who we now move over to Alpine for next year. And we also have to talk about Gasly because he was in the middle of a bit of a controversy involving the FIA. And then we got Mick Schumacher, Carlos Sainz, and Alexander Albon. So, and obviously, so there's actually provisional results, I'm pretty sure. And apparently Leclerc received a 5-second time penalty for leaving the track and gaining an advantage. So that's something to note about. Perez already passed Leclerc on the last lap, so it doesn't really matter. So what happened to Sainz and Albon, you might be asking? Well, on lap 1, it was torrential rain. It was horrible. The visibility was actually horrible. And I was actually watching the Bathurst race when it was happening. I was watching it with a couple of my friends. Let's just say it ended for 3 laps. So lap 1, I think exiting the hairpin, coming over to Spoon. Carlos Sainz, I think, got a little bit loose, got out of traction and everything, and just spun out, and he hit he actually hit the wall with the rear end of his car. So that caused him to retire. Albon had engine issues. Zhou Guanyu also spun out also in the hairpin, I think by Latifi, I'm pretty sure. Oh, actually, I think Latifi was like around the outside of him, and he just spun out because he lost control, had no grip. It was horrible. And obviously, all this started on inters. It was definitely looked like wet tire conditions. But obviously, we know the FIA, they can't be bothered to do wet tires. And then lap 2, which I'm actually going to talk about Pierre Gasly here, because he was in the middle of controversy. He actually almost hit a tractor on the track. Now, it was a recovery vehicle. I'm going to try and show pictures of it. You can like kind of see it, but hopefully I can try and find a picture which has like a circle around it or like an arrow on it, just so you know where the tractor is. It was pretty close, and I'll be honest, guys, it was actually, I think it was under caution, or it was like red flag or something. He was going there very, very quickly. He was speeding there to try and catch up the field, a lot quicker than everyone else on the field. So it's kind of his fault that obviously he sped up, but at the same time, massive, how do I put this? The FIA should have not done that. They should not. They should also make sure that there was no tractor. That the tractor was not on the fucking racing line, but it was on the racing line. Obviously, it was recovering signs, which was on the track. Like, I understand that, but at the same time, you have a lot of room to have to put the track on the grass or the gravel. I think it was the grass. I'm pretty sure. So, but it was very stupid on where they placed the tractor, and Gasly basically said that could have killed him. And I'm not going to try to find a tweet that Norris put out. Basically, if I'm gonna try and find it, so this is what he tweeted out during the red flag, also which came in next lap. It says, "What the fuck? How's this happened? We lost a life in a situation years ago." Obviously, talk about Jules Bianchi. We risk our lives, especially in conditions like this. We want to race, but this unacceptable. This obviously talked about the Pierre Gasly incident, obviously because it was pretty bad rain, and they were like, okay, let's just put you on Inters on a west or some stupid reason. And apparently, also, I actually found this out when I was trying to search for the tweet. Apparently, Pierre Gasly got a drive-through penalty, 20-second drive-through penalty for speeding under the red flag conditions. He also got 2 penalty points on the license. And obviously, people are pissed off at the FIA, which absolutely should be deserved. What the FIA did was completely unsafe and absolutely unacceptable. Because obviously we did lose a driver when that happened, Jules Bianchi. To be fair though, it was not on the racing line. It was far off the track. Bianchi just locked up and hit, and obviously hit and but basically went underneath the tractor. But still, it does not matter. The tractor could have killed Gasly. If he lost control of the car, could have possibly killed him. Yes, the Halo is a very strong safety device, but at the same time, it probably wouldn't help Gasly at all. I don't think. Mostly depending on where the car ends up. So, obviously, with that in mind, FIA, you should probably actually get used to that. You should probably fix that and make sure that doesn't happen again, because you don't want one of your drivers to pass away, to die while in racing. Pretty stupid, but it is obviously the FIA. They are pretty stupid most of the time because they didn't know. Because I was after the race, which I already mentioned, there was a bunch of confusion of if the Verstappen actually win the championship or the points. Obviously, the broadcast obviously put out the graph of the points. We're gonna try and find a picture of that. I'll put it on screen so you can have a look at it as for yourself. But I think it was like 25%. It was like 50%. It was like 75% as well. So they trying to use that, and obviously the laps. I think we were supposed to do like 60 something laps. I'm pretty sure we did 28 laps, and for some reason they got full points. I don't know how. Obviously, as you could tell, full points. Don't know how, but I mean, right on, I guess. And then lap 28, because nothing else really happened after the red flag was dropped. Max Verstappen wins, becomes champion. Perez passes Leclerc for second place. Driver of the day, Sebastian Vettel, which is pretty cool, because obviously we know that this is Vettel's favorite track at Suzuka. You do have to feel bad for the Japanese fans, especially because F1 hasn't been here since 2019, and obviously this is the same for Australia, Singapore. Was there another track that I'm forgetting? I don't think there is. Maybe there might be actually another one. I'm pretty sure that I might be forgetting. Apologies for that. But still, either way, I bet the Japanese fans. Well, actually, maybe I actually don't know. The Japanese fans probably felt cheated, or ripped off, because they didn't get to see a full race lap. It was just 3 laps. Something like an hour or something of red flag conditions, and then 40 minutes of racing, which has accumulated to 28 laps. So that is the Japanese Grand Prix. A bit of a shit show, a horrible way to crown someone champion, obviously. But yeah, I mean, what else do I really have to say? It was just an absolute shit show. Let's have a look at the driver's standings. So obviously, Max Verstappen is your champion for 2022. However, the battle for second is not over. Sergio Perez and Charles Leclerc are both separated by 1 point. George Russell's still probably in the mix, but probably not. Carlos Sainz in 5th place. Then Lewis Hamilton, Lando Norris, Esteban Ocon, Fernando Alonso, and Valtteri Bottas ran out the top 10. Then we have Sebastian Vettel, Daniel Ricciardo, Pierre Gasly, Kevin Magnussen, Lance Stroll, Mick Schumacher, Yuki Tsunoda, Zhou Guanyu, Alexander Albon, Nicholas Latifi, who will not be finishing in 21st place. And then we got, obviously, the reserve drivers, Nick De Vries and Nico Hulkenberg. Obviously, Nick De Vries will be in F1 next year with AlphaTauri. So that's really about it for today's video. A very disappointing one and a very negative one, but obviously I still have to make it because, I mean, a race was finished. And obviously just a reminder that the next race is the US Grand Prix at the Circuit of the Americas. So that's really about it for me. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Catch you guys all next time in the next one. Goodbye.